Your Excellency, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Talal Abu-Ghazaleh, Ms. Fiona, Nicholson, Licensing Executive Society International President, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and it is a great pleasure to welcome you all in Talal Abu-Ghazaleh Knowledge Forum. We're so happy today to host such important workshop about emerging new markets for SMEs. In partnership with Licensing Executive Society International and the Licensing Executive Society, the Arab countries, and Ibtikar and the Amman Chamber of Industry. We at Talal Abu-Ghazaleh Knowledge Forum are so proud to always utilize this think tank as a platform for education, for awareness, for innovation, and also to transfer knowledge. Our greatest strength, always we say, it's knowledge. And whenever it's possible, we try our best and work harder to utilize this platform as a venue and a think tank to discuss all international and local socio-economic matters. Allow me as well to thank you all for accepting our invitation and participating today with us in this important workshop representing many sectors. We have lawyers, legal advisors, educators, university professors, teachers, schools, consulting and training companies. We have the Jordan Customs Department representatives as well, and everyone who joined us today to grasp as much as possible from this important knowledge that Ms. Fiona Nicholson herself came here to Jordan to really transfer her knowledge with Ibtikar, Amman Chamber of Industry, about emerging new markets for SMEs. We have entrepreneurs with us as well. We have CEOs. We have dairy company, Tiba. So many people who joined us today, and we hope that this workshop will really meet your expectations. Your Excellency, Mr. Chairman, allow me just to say a few words in Arabic. We have translation available for whoever needs a translation. لكن اسمحوا لي السيدات والسادة، أسعد الله صباحكم بكل خير وأهلا وسهلا بكم في ملتقى طلال أبو غزالة المعرفي. هذه المنصة التي نسخرها دوما للقاء والالتقاء ولنقل المعرفة والاحتضان كل ما هو مفيد ويخدم مجتمعنا المحلي، وأيضا يساهم في بناء قدرات شركاتنا ورياديي الأعمال وقطاعات التعليم. ونشكركم لتلبيتكم دعوتنا لكم اليوم لوجودكم بيننا، ونتمنى أن نكون عند حسن الظن وأن تلقى هذه الورشة المهمة إعجابكم وتوقعاتكم. يجب أن أشكر فعليا عدد المؤسسات التي حضرت ونسبت بمشاركين لهم معنا اليوم، ابتداء من دائرة الجمارك الأردنية لها كل التقدير والاحترام، ومرتبات الجمارك الأردنية أهلا وسهلا بكم، هيئة الاستثمار الأردنية، الجامعة الهاشمية، شركة طيبة للاستثمار، المدرسة الأهلية والمدرسة المطران، التعليم من أجل التوظيف الأردنية، مؤسسة عبد الحميد شومان، مصنع الأفكار تيك ووركس مؤسسة ولي العهد، نادي شباب الأعمال، محامون ومستشارون ومدربون وماليون ورياديو أعمال، كلكم حللتم أهلا ووطئتم سهلا، ونشكركم لحضوركم معنا اليوم. Allow me now to welcome His Excellency, Mr. Chairman, the founder and the chairman of Talal Abu-Ghazaleh Global, His Excellency Dr. Talal Abu-Ghazaleh. Your Excellency, for your kind speech, please.
Forgive me for speaking in English because we have a distinguished guest I would like to welcome this morning Fiona Nicholson, is the international president of the Licensing Executive Society. And I extend a warm welcome to you. I thank you for coming to Jordan, especially for meeting us and meeting with us. And this is a great opportunity for us to learn from you and to present our input to you. I am here as an old friend and member of Licensing Executive Society International. I think I have been in relationship with this important organization for at least 4 decades. I'm in this organization more than I think Fiona's relationship with it. I'm an old man, so I have the privilege of being an older member of many organizations. I fought a strong battle against Licensed Executive Society to change its name, because the name is misleading. Then I said this to the board. I was on the board of this organization, as I said, 40 years ago, and I wanted to change the name to something which really reflects its importance. When you hear licensing, you think it's like giving a license for driving or for any project or any purpose. This name is traditionally, since it was established, my battle resulted only in adding a tagline under the name, which I have worked hard to get to be changed. Since I couldn't change the name, I requested that we add a tagline. And the tagline explains more what this organization is about. And it is really my proposal was to call it the Commercialization of Inventions Organization of the World, because that is what is more important than just issuing license. Licensing is one way and one approach to commercialization. There is licensing, there is franchising, there is investment, there is partnering. There are many, many approaches to commercialization. And LES International is about all of these. It's not just issuing the license or helping and providing licensing agreements or guidelines. Anyway, we're talking about the world, as I have been promoting, and I issued my book, and I ask you to feel free to take a copy of it, about the 4th Industrial Revolution, which is just starting. And I'm now editing my next edition of this book, because technology is moving so fast, particularly with artificial intelligence, that we need to keep updating whatever we do and whatever we learn about. So Licensing Executive Society, to come back, is very especially important in this particular revolution, the knowledge revolution. The 4th Industrial Revolution is known to be the knowledge revolution. And the knowledge revolution is all about innovation. The previous revolutions, whether agricultural, industrial, or technology revolutions, were focused on one thing in one sector. The Industrial Revolution is about everything that will change everything. It's everything for everything. Our life, our body, our brains, equipment, space, air, food, everything is going to be changed. So this revolution is about inventions, about innovation, and that's why we started also the Talal Abu-Ghazaleh College for Innovation, which produces innovators and not graduates. At Talal Abu-Ghazaleh College of Innovation, you don't sit for a final exam. You sit for an innovation. If you don't produce an innovation, you don't graduate. my firm conviction is, as a result of this era of innovation, the future is all about innovation. And we have to change everything we do, education for innovation, industrialization for education, for innovation, medical services for teaching for innovation. The world is about, there is no place in future for any wealth except in innovation. And this is why LESI is very important, because it takes over from the innovation, which is the intellectual property right, that stage of having the protection for the invention or innovation. And when I talk about innovation, this is a huge world we're talking about. China innovates every year 500,000 inventions. I don't see 500,000 new things, but any development or any innovation with a commercially valuable purpose is a new invention. These are the rules of intellectual property protection, and as many of you know, we are the leading organization in the world in intellectual property protection, and I served on the board of advisors and experts of the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO. And the definition of invention is not just to come up with something new. Any change or innovation which is useful and substantive is a new invention. And this is probably the most difficult issue in the world between the US and America, the interpretation and explanation of what an invention is. And if there will be a war, and I expect that there will be a war, it will be about intellectual property rights. Intellectual property rights are the most valuable thing in the world. What is Google? It's an intellectual property right. What is Amazon? And these major companies that have all of a sudden become 1 trillion worth are inventions, innovations, creations. So we're talking about how to convert the invention, starting from inventing and then protecting it as an intellectual property right. LESI comes to help us how to commercialize it. I call LESI as the commercialization company of the world. And for me, this is the most important and needed thing in the world. There are lots of ideas, lots of great creations. We have talents all over the world, including in this country. The problem always is, what do I do with my invention? And that, if you don't have an answer to that question, the invention becomes a dead subject. You invent and you put it on the shelf. In order to make an invention commercially viable and to have it on the market, you need the expertise of this great organization we are here to talk about. And we are very honored that Fiona Nicholson is with us this morning in her person, being the top and chief of this important organization, where we, as Licensing Executive Society Arab region, we represent this organization in this part of the world, including the various Arab countries. So what we're talking about here is our future. It is not a dead subject. It's not an intellectual exercise. It's the future. Our future depends on what we can innovate. And once we innovate it, how can we make it commercially viable and commercially profitable? Therefore, I would like to say that what we're talking about, and I would like to propose, and here I'm very concerned about Jordan because we happen to meet in Jordan. I'm an Arab, and my heart is Arab. Every drop of blood in my body is Arab. But since we are in Jordan, I would like to come up. I would like this meeting of experts, and I welcome you all. You are the asset of this country. So I welcome you, and I'm very proud to be with each one of you here today. If we can come up with a project for venture capital in this country, we need it badly. We have innovators. We have people who have the talent to come up with ideas, but then it stops there because there is nobody to help them make it a project, make it a commercial project, make it a product. Therefore, if we can come up with a project, with an idea, even if Fiona can later on help us with this or during this meeting, if I can come up with one resolution from today, how to help innovators commercialize their inventions. America was built because of Silicon Valley, where all the venture capital companies realized that the future lies in investing in innovation. In this country, unfortunately, and I keep criticizing this country for this, of which I am a part, so I criticize myself as well, we have always been focusing on what we can touch. Invest in buildings, invest in fixed assets, because I can feel it, it's safe, it's secure. It's not. We have seen now with the collapse of the real estate market that investment in real estate is not the only safest thing in the world. Investing in innovation, one invention, one single invention can be multiple times the gross national product of the whole country, one country, one project. One project can mean is equal to many countries added up together. What we need is to focus on how to create an awareness. We are not just asking, we don't want companies to provide charity or government to provide charity. We want to create a sense of confidence that to invest in something that you cannot touch and feel is more valuable and more profitable than what you can touch and feel. What do you touch in Uber? There is nothing. Google, what are the raw materials? What's the capital? What are the products? You don't touch anything. You don't even have an address. And it's 1 trillion worth. The idea that كان بيقولوا بالعربي الأمان هو في العقار أو في الموجودات is not true. And this has been too bad for all the investors in real estate and in other touchable assets, physical assets. As of now, the worthwhile investment and the future wealth lies in invisible investments, in intellectual investment, what we call intellectual property rights, in programs, a software solution like Uber is, or Yahoo, or any of these projects which are only computer programs, software solution, that's all. And it didn't need any help, it did not need any guidance, except that there were companies that were intelligent enough to realize that the future and the wealth of the future lies in innovation, and not in real estate, and not in supermarkets and huge buildings and constructions, etc. We need to do this. I would like to come up with a concept which we present to the government and to His Majesty, who is very keen on invention and supporting innovators and entrepreneurs. How can we create an organization that can provide partnership or support or investment in projects for its own profit? We're not asking them to give us money. If we can convince the banks, the industry, investors, individuals that if you put money, you are going to get multiple profits out of that money, because this is the profitable field of the future. If we can come up with something, and I know I have been talking to the government about this for many, many times, but we need to develop a formula. We don't want this company, which let's call it Jordan Commercialization Company, for example. This company, we don't want you to put the money there to help innovators. No, we want you to make money. Because if you invest in an invention which becomes a commercial product, you make money more than in your traditional business. This is the profit of the future. This is why we in Talal Abu-Ghazaleh Global, we have invented at least 50 inventions that helped us become a leading international organizations. We believe in innovation, in everything. As you can see, we are now investing in the innovation of high-tech gadgets, laptops, tablets, etc. We are trying in our small capabilities to be innovators in what we understand and we can do. But every company and every organization can invest and should be invested in innovation. Innovation is the responsibility of every individual, not just experts or scientists, and that is ridiculous. There is no place for R&D. We used to call the companies to invest in R&D. There is no R&D anymore. There is innovation now. You don't want to do research and development. You want to invent. Go straight to the thing that makes the money and makes the future. I'm sorry that I spoke so long, but I wanted to start a new thought, a new trend, a new culture in this country for investing in innovation rather than investing in hard things, in touchable things. What is untouchable is the worthwhile investment. Two students who graduated from school and couldn't find a job, they played on the computer and internet and came up with Yahoo. They were not funded by anybody. They were not supported by any government or company. They just came up with this invention. But fortunately, they were able to find who can help them in commercializing their invention. Invention, as Franklin Roosevelt said, intellectual property adds fire, adds oil to the fire of genius. Licensing, which I call commercialization, adds more fire and makes this what Franklin Roosevelt called fire, turns this fire into success and money. Great. Genius is inflamed by the protection system, but commercialization makes this genius a profit and money and wealth and prosperity for the country. So what we're talking about today is very, very important for us individually, for our companies, and for the country. Thank you very much. I'll have to rush in and out because we have this oil crisis, and I'm on demand for international interviews on the very serious consequences of the oil global crisis. It's a very serious crisis, and you will be hearing from me on that today. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to welcome a great supporter of LSE in Arab countries, Ms. Fiona Nicholson, Chair of the Licensing Executive Society International, and thank her for her great guidance and continuous support. Ms. Nicholson is a board member, and she chairs the Law Society of Scotland's accreditation panel for IP. Ms. Fiona is a former chair of the IP section of Lex Monday and ex-president of the Licensing Executive Society, Britain and Ireland. Ms. Fiona is a founder and honorary vice president of St. Andrew's Clinics for Children. She has joined Prestos as a partner in 2009 and is based in London. She is also an IP transactional lawyer with many years of experience in working with large range of clients across a number of sectors, including life sciences, IT, software engineering, consumer products, and academia. And now, please allow me to invite LES International President, Ms. Fiona Nicholson, to deliver her speech.
Okay, well, I'm hoping my slides will be available, but I just want to say good morning, everyone, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here. And I'm passionate about this organisation and about the cause of intellectual property and commercialisation. And it's delightful to be serving as president of this organisation for this year. I wanted to say a few words about my involvement in LES. I don't go back 40 years, I go back over 20 years. And as has been mentioned, I started off as a lawyer in Scotland, working with many SMEs. And I got involved in LES early days because it seemed to me that even in those days, innovation requires help with commercialisation, with funding, and with connections. And what this organisation brings to SMEs and to larger companies and institutions is both help and assistance with education and with networking all over the world. Because for many innovations to be successful, they have to be commercialised internationally. And it can be very difficult for people in small countries, particularly Scotland, where I'm from, to actually make connections all over the world who may help you commercialise your invention to the best possible opportunities. And so, in reality, it seems to me that we've gone from 20 years ago, when I started with this organisation, to today, when it's even more important for the world's economy that innovation is a key driver. And a key driver of jobs in the world, as we know, are SMEs. More people work in SMEs than in large companies these days. And if SMEs don't understand how to innovate, protect the innovation, commercialise it, they're not going to maximise the investment that they get from investors or maximise the possibility of their products and services reaching the right market. And therefore it's so important to us today that we have an organisation like LESI, which is a membership organisation, which is not for profit, where we get together people who have expertise and who want to access that expertise on a worldwide basis to actually maximise the opportunities to take forward ideas in the future. So I had a slide presentation, I don't see it right now, but I wanted to take the opportunity to tell you a bit more about LESI. So Licensing Executives International was an organisation that, as Dr. Talal said, began in the US in 1965. And as we've already heard, America was a capital available with the space race, with the Cold War, was well placed to start innovating and to commercialise businesses. And that's where LES started, with 79 members in the state of Florida. It was basically people from the company called 3M that started LES in 1965. LES International started in 1973, so we're just about coming up to our 50th birthday. And we're now a network of 33 member societies, and we have 8,000 members all over the world in 90 countries. Our newest society is LES Thailand, which started 3 years ago, and the largest is still LES USA in Canada. But the basis is so LES International is an umbrella organisation consisting of a number of societies from all over the world. And what we do is we bring together these organisations and these societies, and we put together first-rate education programmes for them. And we collaborate. At the moment, we're collaborating very heavily with the European Patent Office, which itself has realised, as Dr. Talal said, that prosecuting patents is only one aspect of innovation. So they're putting a lot of money into developing courses, commercialising, helping companies commercialise IP. And we ran a very successful 2-day conference in Dublin last November for growing technology companies, and we had 300 people there, and we spent 2 days giving these people lots of practical help and knowledge from experts about how to develop their IP. We're also working with the Chinese Patent Office, and for 3 years running now, we have run a 2-day licensing course in Beijing. SMEs from all over China compete for places on this course, and LES provides 1 day of lectures and 1 day of case studies. And we have trained over 300 people in China on commercialisation and licensing over the last few years. So we network with other organisations. We also hold international meetings and get-togethers, and we have a membership directory. So if you're a member of LES, any of our chapters, you have access to an exclusive membership directory of over 8,000 people. And you can get to meet these people both virtually in webinars that we run. We just ran very successful webinars on IP valuation, which is itself quite a difficult area, and Madrid Protocol and trademarks. You can get to meet these people locally, regionally, and internationally at conferences. We had a very successful European conference in Madrid last September. Our meeting in Yokohama last year attracted over 600 people from all over the world, our international meeting. And this year we're hoping to our meeting in Berlin, but we need to see what happens with the virus at the moment, unfortunately. And also we have committees. So if you're a member of LES in any chapter, you can join one of our international committees. We have over 30 committees that range from high-tech to life sciences to chemicals. And if you're interested in that area and an LES member, you can join a committee. And the committee runs webinars, puts on workshops, shares knowledge. We contribute to international standard discussions. It's a very vibrant way to get involved with LES internationally and to make connections, particularly if you're a small company and you want to be able to maximise your LES membership. I did have some slides. I might just run through them very quickly if we get a minute. But so you can make these connections. And what Dr. Talal was saying was about education is this year, under my guidance, we're putting together 3 business primers because it's not good enough for SMEs to rely on professionals for IP help. They need to understand the concepts themselves. So we're putting together 3 short guides, one in IP licensing, IP valuation, IP management, for SME, for business people, so that they understand the basics of these important IP concepts, so they understand the issues they need to deal with as a company. So everything we're about as an organisation is about helping our members maximise the value of their intellectual property. So this was just to run through the slides briefly. So this is our 33 member societies. As I said, the most recent one is LES Thailand. USA Canada is our oldest member. So this is all I was mentioning to you about our professional structures, about education, about networking. And I was going to do a then and now slides. Dr. Slum may remember some of these, but I was going to show you how LES has changed. The first picture there is a US and a Russian delegation, a very important meeting in the 1970s. And the second slide is LES Scandinavia. You'll notice the lack of diversity in both of these slides, I have to say. And this is LES today. So this is a bit more, obviously, diversity, a bit more colour about the organisation. This is where we are now. And my tagline for this year is taking the business of IP to the next level. So we're doing more for our members. So this is what we do, education, professional networking. And we have 2 very important publications. We have a quarterly publication called Les Nouvelles, which gives you worldwide knowledge and understanding of important IP areas. And it's very well regarded. And we've decided to move into the digital age. And for the first time, we will have our publication available electronically to our members. And we have a global news, which is more like our Hello magazine type of what's happening around the world with LES. But our publications are very well regarded and only available to members. These are committees I mentioned. So we have a number of committees that everyone's welcome to join. For example, our high-tech committee has just set up an automotive sector committee because, as you know, automotive sector is changing very rapidly with electric cars and the whole driverless cars, and there's lots of IP issues involved with those things, and they're very important. So we have now a new committee set up to look into the IP and commercialisation aspects of driverless cars and AI going forward. And we also have very vibrant university and government committee where we try and help universities, tech transfer teams, help them commercialise their IP and work with people all over the world who can help them do that. And I mentioned my business primer committee producing these important business guides this year. 2 of our most exciting developments are our Young Members Committee. So 10 years ago, we realised that we didn't want to be an ageing organisation, and the Young Members Congress was started for people under 40 or young at heart, which obviously covers everyone in this room, I'm sure. And they hold regional meetings every year now. Last year they held meetings in London, and they held meetings in Seoul in Asia, and they held one in Montreal, attended by over 100 people. And this enables some of our young members to make their own networks and connections and also come together for education. That picture was taken in Yokohama last year. And we did a survey recently, and we realised that only 30% of our members were women. And so we've now got a Women in Licensing Alliance, which launched in Yokohama, who are providing mentoring. We've got regional ambassadors. We're trying to encourage more women to join our organisation. I know there's many women here today, but it's a great part of our organisation now to encourage women. And these are education. So I mentioned our relationship with the European Patent Office and our 2-day course for high-tech companies. The second picture on the top right is our 2-day advanced licensing course that we put on in Istanbul and in Basel last year to help people who've got the basics of licensing really get practical help with knowing more. And the picture underneath is from our course in Beijing with the Chinese Patent Office last November, our 2-day course, where we had presenters from all over the world, and we had over 100 attendees attending that course. And these are our meetings and events coming up. So there's one in South America next week. We've got the Berlin conference coming up, hopefully. And everywhere I go this year, I've been at many of these meetings and going to these meetings, everyone's stressing the same thing: innovation, SMEs, education, networking. So it's very important, I think, that we're here today to discuss it. This is our annual meeting in Berlin, which is supposed to be happening in May. We'll see if we can go ahead with it, and if we can, you're very welcome to join us. Thank you.
Now we welcome Mr. Jamil Al-Khatib. Mr. Al-Khatib is founder of Ibtikar, an innovation technology management company. He is also the manager of the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Program of the German Jordanian University, with more than 19 years of work experience in innovation development and management. Mr. Al-Khatib is a certified trainer and facilitator at several institutes that focus on entrepreneurship, innovation, and technology transfer, from organizations such as International Youth Foundation and Mowgli Foundation. Mr. Jamil will deliver a presentation on open innovation structure and incentive of SMEs. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us. And it's been always my pleasure to be part of LES Arab countries' activities. I've been collaborating with the society for maybe more than 12 years now. So I'll be talking today in this session about open innovations. But before that, I always like to talk about what I've done, what my trip to this innovation journey. I started in the 90s at Siemens, and I was lucky to be part of the R&D team where we developed actually products from scratch in the electronics and telecommunication field. But after a while, I started thinking, what's happening with what the products that we are doing? It's not always successful. Although we were, or the company is a very large, huge organization with more than like around 500,000 employees around the world and investments more than some countries. It's okay. The main question is why our products were failing sometimes. And the other major question related to innovation. Although there are some creative people, but not always become creative as expected. So these were two questions that led me to search for answers, to look for these solutions for these problems. And I found that this is a program related to innovation management in Germany, where I studied there and came back later, few years after, to share my experience with Jordan and the Arab countries here, where I started my company, Ibtikar, in the field of innovation management and focusing on supporting innovation in the region. So this is the short journey, what I've done, but I want also to ask you, why always we look about innovation as light bulb? This is like the symbol of innovation. It's always we see when we see this innovation or the term innovation as a light bulb. Is it something related to the bulb itself, or is it something related to the ideas or innovations? There are different answers might be. But although these innovations, we can see a lot of these inventions and technologies and new solutions, or we consider them as innovations. But why exactly they are innovations? Why there are many other inventions that are not seen as innovations? So this is what we need always to define. How can we define the innovation? Innovation, simply as His Excellency explained, it's more than ideas that work. So this is the main concept of innovations. But in our company, we try to come up with this formula for innovation, where it's defined as identifying the challenges. So first step is to identify a challenge that we'd like to solve, so we can develop the solution. And then, which is the most important aspect, if it's not happening, it's not an innovation, which is the exploitation of the results, or the commercialization in terms of the commercial values. And the exploitation, it's more into just using these technologies, using these inventions, where the inventions can be part of the solution development. These are the three main elements of any innovation: problem or challenge identification, solution or inventions, and then commercializing or exploiting the results to be innovation. So it's very important to think about it as innovation, especially these days. It's always changing words happening, and it's a must nowadays. It's not only just a concept or a topic. If you don't do it, we will die. Whether economies, companies, individuals, if you are not developing innovations, will not have any progress. So this is, in short, what innovations, in my opinion, and try to ask you now about these companies. What do you think about something common in these companies? Is there any idea other than being innovators? Any suggestion? Successful, okay. Successful because they are innovators, maybe. What else? Mm-hmm. They are all focusing on the concept of open innovation. They are trying to utilize this concept beyond the traditional concept of development. Why is that? Because they are thinking the main sources of innovations not only related to in-house, the employees or the staff, it's also with the partners, with the customers. So these are sources of innovations, sources of ideas. As you can see in this diagram, although it's a little bit old, but it's still valid till today. There are many innovations that are happening outside the boundaries of your company or your organization. If you cannot understand their needs and their partners' available solutions, you cannot innovate alone. So what's open innovation? This term started to appear in literature and business in 2003, around 2003, which focused more on in the flows of knowledge, in and out flows of knowledge, to accelerate the development of innovations. How is that? Usually in the traditional innovation approach, which is the closed innovation, everything happens inside the boundaries of the organization. So all sources of ideas, all kind of opportunities happened within the research, then developed to provide a solution. While in the open innovation, we can go beyond the boundaries of the company. We can collaborate with others, find results, find solutions, which can be like this approach in the funnel of innovation, where you can get ideas from outside, get technologies from outside, build and collaborate within what you have inside your company, and develop your solutions. But not only your solution or product. You can go beyond your market, other than your traditional markets, and this is what I'll show later. So this is, in general, the concept, going beyond the boundaries of your company or your organization to get innovation. So this is the more successful approach. That's why it's being adopted by many companies around the world. So it's more helping, building on the efforts of each other in order to achieve better results. So it's more giving time to innovate within short period, produce or provide less risks for you and reduce the costs, because everything will be shared between the different organizations in order to reach new markets, better markets. And this is what's important for, especially for SMEs in our region, because we are a small country. We cannot usually access large countries or economies. So partnering and developing our innovations with others, it helps us reach better access to the new markets. And not only that, this is a comparison between the different areas of revenues and profit. As you can see, within the closed innovation model, you can invest a lot in order to generate some limit of revenue. But in the open innovation approach, you still can invest, reduce the cost, get similar revenue size, but you have other opportunities because you'll have new businesses. If you develop something new in collaboration with other organizations, so you can go out. You can spin out some new products to new markets that you are not involved or traditionally involved in. So if you are in the automotive market, you can go maybe to a computer market. If you are developing some part of the electronics for your computer, for your car. So this is can help in reducing costs and increasing revenues. So this is a better approach, especially for our region, with the lack of resources, lack of investments, lack of even technical expertise sometimes. So this is an approach that is being adopted globally by large companies collaborating with SMEs and startups. These can be defined to different types. Usually the full open innovation where it's open for any topic and any type of partners. While the traditional partnerships, it's more focused on very specific topics and very specific areas that lead to a very specific product. While the full open innovation can be generate new things. Okay, so although this seems that easy, but it's not always that just sitting together and developing new solutions and exchanging ideas. There are different factors that would help this. So for example, there should be a good network of partners, good network of companies, startups relating to your field. And within the organization, within the company itself, there should be a structure that would help the organization to deal and collaborate with others. Because sometimes the collaboration with outsiders is difficult, but if we have a proper structure within the company, that would help you dealing with the externals. And the most important aspect is the process. What kind of process that would facilitate this collaboration with this involvement with external partners? Besides that, shared infrastructure, suitable infrastructure, whether digital infrastructure or physical labs that can facilitate the collaboration and generating new innovations. So these are most important elements for any open innovation system within organizations. But besides that, there are different factors. I will not go through all of them. The most important is to have a clear goal of what you want to innovate. Where do you want to innovate? What's the objective of this open innovation model? What's the objective of building this network, building these partnerships? This is most important aspect, besides having clear facilitation approach between the different organizations, different startups, different companies. So these are the two main important aspects, in my opinion, besides the commitment. If there is no commitment from all partners, would not be able to help developing the innovation. But this commitment is linked to the clear goals. If you have clear goals, you'll have committed partners and you have committed employees within your organization. So these are the most important factors. But In spite of all this, there are some challenges, different challenges, and here are some of these, but I want to focus on the legal challenges. Is it clear? The legal challenges, which is related to IP, the challenges related to intellectual property, who owns what can we do, collaborating, but there are different possibilities. So the challenges related to IP that can be solved is first to have a clear commercial and IP objectives. Do you want to invent a new product? Do you want to have a new business model? Do you want to have solutions? Do you want to share these solutions? It should be clear before we go for the IP. The other thing is to have this fee for the services. Are you going to do it together for free between the partners, or do you want to have some external to facilitate? Or do you want to have a joint venture actually to establish something new? So these are different IP challenges. Who will own this IP? This is what's important, to have an early IP agreements. From the beginning, you can say this IP, the result IP, will be owned by this and this, or will be shared, but not to overcomplicate the agreements from the beginning. Because if you overcomplicate these agreements, the collaboration or the partners will be hesitant to share ideas. So this is need to have some balanced before we can go to licensing agreements, and so should also focus on long-term relationship and collaboration. So these are it's not one day, especially for the innovation. It takes long time to develop and to get results. So if you focus only on a very small area, it might not be successful. The other area for the IP, we need to know who owns what. So it's what's called background or foreground IP. Before we start the collaboration, I need to see what kind of IP that I have and what the IP that owned by others. So this is important to know them. And also with the resulting IP, how can we share them? What can we give access? Are we going to give access to everyone in this partnership? Are we going to give fees? So we need to have a clear conclusion or understanding from the beginning. Yeah, sure, the IP ownership is important, but also the resulting IPs, the result models. Are we going to, for example, some companies, especially in the technology field, in the software, they can publish their IPs for free as open source, or they can exchange the licensing, which is happening also often with, sometimes with the pharmaceutical companies, exchange the licensing. Or even for high-tech companies, they exchange these license, the results. So these are some IP challenges that should be considered from the beginning. Yeah, it seems that a lot of challenges, but once we agree on these terms, you'll speed up the innovation process, you'll reduce the costs and produce better results. So here are some companies that dealt with this. Dell, you know the Dell computer, they started the programs from the beginning on collaborating with their consumers to get feedback, to get input from them in order to develop themselves the solutions. So this type of collaboration are called co-creation, which also the Lego developed this solution where they have a lab for kids and innovators to develop a new solutions for Lego. And this is what led also to what they produce, the Lego Digital Designer, which is an online platform that anyone can pick the bricks and develop some models with that, as well as the robots, what they are developing these solutions, the software that are available online for young generations to play with robots and produce some results. As well as IKEA, they have one of the main organizations that develop their furnitures based on the collaboration with their customers, with their partners, with their suppliers. So these are companies that work on the open innovation models. I will not go a lot about more examples, but we'll talk in the following session how we can utilize also the Industry 4.0 and open innovation approach. So this is a brief about the open innovation, and I'll be glad also to announce that we have a training with LES in this field in innovation management for SMEs. If you would like to have more information, maybe with Sajda or Majd, or where is Majd. So, yeah, this is what I want to say for this session, and I will continue in the following session about the new technologies and its relation with this field. I don't know if we have some time for questions or no? Okay. If there is no question, I don't know what's question.
In one of your slides, you presented that the closed models in the past was even more prevalent than
This one.
the present one.
Yeah.
What actually changed? What was the cause for that problem?
The complexity of innovation. This is the complexity. When Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, he needed a little resources, although a lot of experiments, but it's not like innovating now new LED solutions or LED light bulb. It's different from that perspective. That's why the complexity of these technologies.
Startups company.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just explain in more detail? Because I see some challenges to have an open approach to model, especially when you are a startup and you want to use a third party. Probably some of them, if you are using a third or a shared services from outsider, which are for most less are mature businesses, but they might even absorb the financial resources of the company or probably put them to a direction which they don't want to be there. So don't you think this might discourage them probably and they will end up doing an internal development instead of using third party? Because usually this is, they're dealing with, I know you say they have to be a partner. Definitely, I will only match up with a company which are mature companies. I will not go to a startup company, to the venture also to provide me the service because I'm already a PC already or a startup. Can you just elaborate on that more?
It's usually the startups maybe if they want to develop their own products, it's much better to collaborate with companies within their size, first thing, and try to partner with larger companies in order to validate their solutions. Once they are having mature product or solutions. Now, the other side, if a large company would like to collaborate with these startups, it's much better to share the objectives of the large companies and the capabilities of these startups in order to have this kind of collaboration. But again, it should always happen with the IP. They should consider the IP issues. And usually, if it's running by large companies, they can have the facilitation approach. So by externals sometimes. So in order to get win-win solutions and to have clear agreements. So this might be a role for LES International or some organizations like this to facilitate such collaboration. Okay. There's no other questions. I'll see you. Question?
Challenges regarding startups and large companies.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think generally, in your experience, the terms and conditions that these large companies agree with smaller companies do achieve a win-win situation, or do you think small companies need to be very careful about engaging with much larger companies for this?
First, they should be careful, especially if it's only a collaboration between large and a startup, large company and a startup. This will be like a business deal more than an open innovation. But if there is a group of companies, startups that develop different set of solutions, and this might explain it later in the next session in Industry 4.0. It's not a solution that comes from one individual startup. They should collaborate different startups with a large company. This will protect them always and create also better value for the large company. But if it's only one small company, one startup, and one large company, it will be more like into this approach, the one in the left side, lower left corner. It's just one solution, one partner, just develop it. It's outsourcing, basically. Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot for your attention.
يعطيكم ألف عافية. شكرا لحضوركم معنا.